Okay, so we've got the recording on. So thanks for joining me. So I'm going to go through the changes from the last two versions. There's a lot of stuff been going on in the background and a lot of things that aren't visible to you. So it looks like maybe not a lot's changed, but we've got a couple of big things. There's also a few big things that are coming in the next release that I'll go over at the end. Now, if I happen to be talking too fast, please stop me. Or if you need me to clarify anything. So the first change that you probably noticed is we've changed our version numbering. Traditionally with software there'd be a new release every year, and so we'd have version 1 and then a year later we'd give you version 2. Software's changed, so there's a lot of companies doing what we are, where we're doing a new release on a regular basis. So in our case it's every 3 weeks. So we decided to have a bit of fun and change it to our favourite recipes. So the first release that we did with the new versioning was apple pie. The current one is banoffee pie. You're welcome to submit your own recipes. They don't have to be pies and they don't have to be sweet. It's just the way it works. This is the food that people have been making in our team and bringing to us. So you're welcome to put recipes up. We'll probably give it a go at cooking them. We're also happy for people to come and give us samples. It hasn't happened yet, but we'll just keep asking. So on the top right of each version, it'll give you which version we're currently on. You can click on it and it'll take you to Trello. It'll give you that recipe if you're wanting to make it yourself. Obviously Trello is also where you can put your enhancement requests and anything like that. And on this particular one, which is the favourite recipes page, please go ahead and put anything you like up. Next version is going to start with the letter C. So there's obviously many things that start with C. Probably I think half of all food starts with the letter C. So you can submit your own recipes, and we may well choose those to be our next version numbers. Just take you back to LandTracker. Okay, so I'll just go through the new changes that we've got up the top of LandTracker, where we've got the filter that previously allowed you to filter to only show tenements and actions that were members of particular groups. We've changed it now, so it's called the global filter. The reason for that is that there's it's not just groups that you can use for filtering. If we go into manage here, we've obviously got all the combined reporting groups, all of the standard groups, but we can also filter by contact. Now the reason that you might want to do that is you might have your own name or one of your contacts' names all over the place in LandTracker. In this case, I've set up a filter by clicking on the user's filter button, which means that I can filter the entire database for anything relating to me. So if I change it to contact me, then when I go into tenements, it's going to show me all of the tenements that I am linked to. So in this case, I've set myself up as the responsible geo for some tenements. I'm the tenement manager on others. There might also be some agreements that I'm a link to. So if I go to view agreements, these are all the agreements that have got my name on them in one way or another. In this case, I've done it as responsible geo and tenement manager. It might be that you've got parties and you want to see everything that is related to particular companies. So anywhere at all where you've linked that contact in the entire system, it's now filtered to only show those. So there's certain circumstances, like I said, if I want to see everything that's mine, where it's worth filtering that way so you can see everything without having to put everything into groups. We also have a new change where any rent or expenditure report actions that you've got in the system can now be auto-completed. Now that is the default behaviour, but you can turn that off if you want. If I go into actions here, we'll have a look at the rent actions, and I'll just have a look at completed. So these are all new tenements that I imported into the system, and any of the previous rent that the MTO is showing has been paid. If we go over here to the linked row, we can see in here that there's a receipt date for the rent, so we know that the rent's been received. So even if you hadn't manually completed that action, we know that it doesn't need to be done because it's already been done. So we've verified with the MTO data that we've pulled in that this rent has been paid, so we can complete that one automatically for you without you having to do that yourself. If we have a look over here in the history of it, it's showing that that has been completed by, let's just resize that, completed by autocomplete, and the task shows action verified. So that's how we know that this was automatically completed by that process. We have the same thing with expenditure reports, that these ones can be auto-completed as well. Now these ones are a little bit more complex. What we're looking at here is we're looking at whether the minimum expenditure has been exceeded by the expenditure total. If it has, then we know it can be completed. If it hasn't, then was there an exemption lodged, and was that granted? So it's based on that criteria to determine whether we should be whether we should complete that or not. So we do those extra checks and just make sure that that one's okay to auto-complete. Now this is only available for WA tenements because it's only WA Mines Department that makes that data available to us. But that will just automatically happen, so you don't need to do anything manual for those ones. It's also really handy when you're importing new tenements that you don't have to go through all that historical data. The rent and expenditure will automatically complete itself. And Shannon, I'm guessing that that's what you're woohooing to. So that's good. Now, if you don't want that to take place, there is a setting over in Application Settings under Application General where you can put a line in here. I've just cancelled it, but you can have disable autocomplete actions equals true, and that will disable that autocomplete from occurring. And that is in the user guide. I'll just take you to that. Under Application Settings, it gives you that disable autocomplete actions. So if you ever do want to turn that off, that's the setting that you need to put in there. Any questions about that one? Nope, everyone seems happy. Okay, now we've also got some new columns that are available. Oh, good, cool. We've got some new columns that are available in. Yeah, okay, cool. For tenements, there's a few new columns that we can add in that that we're pulling in. These again are from the MTO, so these are this is data that's made available to us for WA. A couple of them are available for all of the country though. So one of them that's for all of Australia is the area units and the current area value. So we've got the current area is, in general, it'll be number of blocks or number of hectares, but there might be occasions when it's useful to have that number separated out. So the current, the current area value is the numeric portion of that current area, and the area units would be the hectares or blocks or whatever. So if you want those split out as two separate fields, you can just add these in. They're showing in grey here because they're not in the template. You can add them into the template if you want, or you can just turn them on with these checkboxes. The extra ones that we brought in as well is surveyed. So if the area has been surveyed, this will show up as a tick box. And then the survey date and the current area, the survey area will be the date of the survey, obviously, and the area that was surveyed. We also have an approximate area in hectares, so that's a rough calculation. Obviously, we can't do an exact one. That will just convert the number of blocks into hectares. So that's one that a lot of people ask for. That's a number that's available in lease control. So that's those same numbers. We also have the next MTO rent and the next MTO commitment. These are two also that a lot of people have asked for. If I go to the MTO website, emits, that's these two numbers here, the rent for the area, the rent for the year end and the current year commitment. So lots of people wanted those, so that's just some extra data that we're pulling in as well. Any questions about those ones? All good?
Yeah, are you doing that for Queensland?
For those two values?
Yeah.
Or for the those two, I don't think we have access to for Queensland. We are only pulling it for WA, but if they do make that available, is that something that you can get access at the moment from their mines department?
That's it. Not online. I don't think so. I was just wondering myself. That's why I'm
Yeah, if you find that it's on there and you want us to bring that in, let us know, and we can find out whether we can. Even with the WA Mines Department, there is some data that they make available on the website that they don't put in their XML feed. So not everything is actually available for us to pull into the tenement cache. But if it's something that that is available to you on the website, send it through to us if it's something that would be of use to you, and we'll find out whether it is something that we can pull in.
So if we did it manually, for example, for Queensland, New South Wales, or wherever, and we had those the current year commitment, where would it go? So we could combine them with the
WA ones.
Yeah.
You can put it into the same field. So that's another change that
So I could manually
been
put that
made.
in.
Yeah. So what used to happen until the latest release was that if you were to put something into one of these fields that that we're traditionally pulling in from our data cache, next time you did an update, it would clear it out. But we've changed the process now so that it understands which data it owns and which data it doesn't. And so if you put any data in there manually, it shouldn't update it. Give that a test though before you go and put in hundreds of records. Just put some data in, do an update from the data service, and just make sure it doesn't clear it out, just in case there's anything that we've missed with individual fields.
Thank you.
But you should be able to do that.
Yep.
Okay, so sorry, did you have another question there, Andrew? No, we're good?
No, all good, thanks, mate.
Okay, cool. Now a couple of bug fixes that we've just put in. We had a bit of problem in the past where if you change the column order in any of the views, sometimes it would just refuse to stick with certain columns. We've changed the way that the column order is saved now. So if you rearrange your columns, then they will stay in their sequence that you placed them in, because that's been a major pain for all of us. Also, it used to be on some views, if you selected show hide groups and turned on project or region or anything like that, you might find next time you went back to the view, they would not be there. That's been fixed as well so that they stay where you put them. Now we've got some really cool changes to the way maps work. So if we go onto the map tab here, and just let that have a bit to think. We've got a new option where we can toggle layers, and that gives us a little panel that lets us display extra information that we didn't previously have. So we can bring up a topographic map, which has decided to go slowly because it knows that I'm doing a demo. There we go. So we've got topographic map. You can change the transparency on any of these ones. You can bring up geology, magnetics, gravity, and index WA data. So you can do that on any of the maps tabs. You can also do that on LandTracker maps. So we'll just go to LandTracker maps. You can do the same thing with that. It's just using this button at the top. So you can toggle the layer controls. You can turn any of those layers on and off and change their transparency. Another change that we've got with maps is that it understands where there's related tenements or so tenements that are related to another type of asset, that you're going to want to see a map of those as well. So if we have an agreement and the agreement has tenements linked to it, or if we've got a combined reporting group that's got tenements obviously as its members, then the map will show you all of that. So let's make sure I've got the right one. So this agreement I've linked a few tenements to, so when I click on the map tab, it's going to give me the map of all of the tenements that are linked to that particular agreement. If I go to a combined reporting group, exactly the same thing. Let's just pick the West Pilbara one. don't know what's taking me to Bolivia, but anyway, and there we go. It takes me back to Australia, and we can see all of the tenements on the map at once that are members of that combined reporting group. Now we've made a change to the tenement templates for other jurisdictions, so outside WA, just to bring them all in line so that when you go onto the details tab and you've got the tables that are on here, that they've got the same columns. Now there's a couple of reasons for that. One of them is that it means that you can do reporting that's combined. So if you were wanting to bring up, say, a report on rent, let's say rent by year, by having the tables constructed the same way and all called rent, it's going to combine everything for all of your states in the one place. Oh, sorry, Shannon, I just noticed you were asking about labels for the maps. What sort of labels were you referring to there? For the tenements? Yes, you can. You can turn that on. Just go back to that one. Sorry, actually we'll do that in a tenement. You can toggle labels. Now that's going to depend on your zoom level, whether they show up or not, but for example, this one's given you the labels in there. Sorry. Okay, so if we've got rent in here, you can manually enter the rent for other jurisdictions where we're not able to pull it in from their mines department. And then if you were to go to rent by year or any of your reporting based on rent, it's going to combine it all into the same one. Now the reason why we need to have these columns in the same sequence and the same labels is that if you were to import a template for rent and it only had two columns in it, that's going to update it for all of your other jurisdictions as well. Whichever template you import last would update the rent table for all of them. So if you do make any changes to any of these tables on any of your templates, you do need to go through, make the same change on all of your other ones as well. Darren, noticed you've asked about printing a map from the LandTracker map screen. Not at the moment. We do have an entry on Trello asking about enhancements to mapping, and we're looking at being able to export it in a format that would allow you to print it and email it and that kind of thing. So that's one that we're looking at the moment as well. Just a slight change to agreements. So previously in agreements we had a column for each of the tables in here that was a notes column. You can now import display comments on the tables. So the notes field has just been removed from there because comments will be used for that instead. Another new feature is that you can do bulk importing of documents. So previously, if you wanted to add a document into the system, you would need to go into the asset that you wanted to link it to, and you'd have to browse to that document, and you have to do it on a one-by-one basis. Now you can do a bulk import. So you can do that from the Manage Document screen, and there's an import tab here, import button here. So there's a template spreadsheet which you can download from the user guide. If you just go to the document import page, there's a sample at the bottom that gives you a template. Now the template structure is what I've got displayed on here at the moment. So we've got a column for the asset, so that would be the name of the agreement or the tenement, a column for the path to the document. They're the only two mandatory columns, and then you can also put in there the asset type, a summary and comments. With that spreadsheet open, doing the import is as simple as just clicking the import button. It will ask you whether that's what you want to do. You click yes, and it will import all of those documents straight into the system. Save and close, they're all there and they're all linked to the relevant assets. If there were any errors, this import status column will give you messages to let you know what it is, so if it can't find the document and that kind of thing. Couple of things that we are working on at the moment, just to give you an idea of what we're doing in the current sprint. Quite a few people have asked about views, being able to filter them with drop-downs like you can in Excel, and to be able to see what is what the filter is. So that's one of the things that we're looking at adding in the next release, which is the 29th of March. Another thing that we're working on is being able to export to an Excel template. So this is for reporting purposes. You'll be able to create a template spreadsheet and then, for example, do a filter of your tenements and say export to Excel, and that export export to an Excel merge, and it almost works like a mail merge, where it's going to then pull in data that you've specified in your template to be able to create a report that might have more than one tab. So it can be formatted and get a lot more information out of the system at once than you can currently do at the moment. We're also looking at introducing a search function for actions, and we're going to split actions out. So instead of being view actions for all assets, we'll have view tenement actions and view agreement actions. Just because they're going to be managed separately, it will just make it a little bit easier. You'll be able to update your agreements independently between those two different sections. Now Darren's asking for the agreement screen to be reopened. Just doing that. What would you like to know, Darren?
Can you hear me?
Yep. Can now.
When you imported those ones, I was just looking at, there was a column called type, and that's what I was trying to look at, because I think as a type it had across the file type, and I thought it would be the agreement type.
This is for the document.
When you just imported them all?
Oh yeah, they were just documents that I was importing. They're not agreements. So I was importing the documents to connect them to existing agreements. Now, on that subject though, if you do want to bulk import agreements, you can show the template column here, and then you can actually go, I'll do it in here. So if I show the template column here, that does allow you to paste in bulk all your agreements, regardless of their agreement type. Even though I'm doing it into Aboriginal land access, if that template said joint ventures, when I save it, it'll go into joint ventures. So you can bulk import all of your agreements in a single step without having to go into every single different agreement type to do that.
Cool.
So they
Can I ask
are
a quick question? You just sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
Yep.
You said before with your actions that you're going to split out your tenement actions and your agreement actions.
Yep.
You're still going to have an all actions screen though where they're all showing, right?
We can do. If that's what you want is for it all to be in one place, then we can keep that as well.
Look, it's handy having them separate, but as we found with lease control, and we got them to do, finally took them years, they put them back to one screen, because sometimes you're looking at one screen, you like to see exactly what you've coming up without having to go through shitloads of screens. And then if you want to get down to discrete actions, you can go to their individual one. But definitely, it's good having them separate, but it's still good being able to see them on one screen if that's a choice you want.
Yep. Yeah, so that's cool. So we haven't actually started working on that. We just made that decision in the last couple of days that we would include that, because it will cause difficulties if somebody's working just on agreements or just on tenements, having all of that in the one place, and also just giving the ability to update them independently. So at the moment you can do an update just of tenement ones, but you can't do an update just of agreement ones. So that's cool. I'll make a note of that, about there still being a requirement for all actions. Does anybody else have any questions while we're here? I've gone through all of our latest changes.
No, thanks.
Cool. Just have a bit of a scroll through the comments here and just make sure I haven't missed anything. Nope, I think that's all good. So if nobody has any other questions, then we're done for this sprint.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank
Shannon
you.
does have a question, so but thank you to the others. I'll speak to you
I'll
later.
listen.
Yep,
I want to
no
hear Shannon's
problems.
question.
Okay, what's your question, Shannon?
I can't hear him.
No, I'm just waiting for a message to come through.
Oh.
All I have is an I do to the question at the moment.
Yeah.
Nope, we might have lost Shannon on this one. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Okay, if you want to load up properties, you can take it from a spreadsheet. Which properties are you referring to, Shannon?
So he means, can you bulk upload an asset? A property would be the same as a tenement, but it might be a house or something. He'll say, can you bulk upload in a similar way that you'd bulk upload a tenement? Could you bulk upload a property?
Okay, so you could. We don't currently have anywhere to put those. If they were just agreements relating to the property, then we can create new agreement types. Pretty much anything
Lorena,
you can upload.
like our company, we own all the houses almost in a town, for example, and they possibly have a similar thing where they may own properties around a town that they either rent out to their own employees or to contractors or something, and he probably keeps track of them in that way. And being this was an asset database, he's probably wanting to know, can he store those as assets? They're not a tenement, but it's an asset database. Is there a way you can make something like that?
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that we are looking at doing for the future. If the kind of data that you're wanting to store fits into what we've got for agreements, then you could put them in there. That's probably would be the best way to do it at the moment. But it sounds like both of you possibly got a requirement for that kind of thing. So that's definitely something that I'll talk to Justin about. Obviously, yeah, it is an asset management system, and there's no reason why we can't add other types of assets. So yeah, that's definitely something that we have spoken about in the past. So I'll bring that up and we'll see how it goes. It might be worth just putting something on Trello about that. Just with a bit of a description about the type of data that you want to keep relating to those properties. And then, yep, definitely we'll look into that for you.
Cool.
Does that answer your question, Shannon? Cool. Anything else?
No, but that was a good question.
No?
Thanks, Dan.
Okay. Cool. So I will speak to you all later. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Lorena.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate.